Chicago Bears fans, brace yourselves, because day one of NFL free agency just dropped an absolute bombshell on our offensive line that nobody saw coming. Braxton Jones is officially returning to the Windy City on a shocking new contract that completely shifts our entire outlook for the upcoming season. We are breaking down the exact numbers of this deal, the devastating roster injury that forced Chicago's hand, and a massive flurry of defensive signings that just changed the entire landscape of our locker room. If you want to stay ahead of every single breaking Bears update this offseason, do me a quick favor and smash that like button, share this video, and subscribe to the channel right now. Let us kick things off with the elephant in the room. Braxton Jones is officially back in a Bears uniform. But let me ask you this, did any of us genuinely believe Braxton would be wearing navy and orange again after the absolute roller coaster of a season he just put us through? Think about it. Last year was supposed to be a defining campaign for him, but instead, it turned into an incredibly frustrating ordeal for both the player and the massively passionate fanbase. He was coming off that brutal tightrope ankle injury, and if we are being completely honest with ourselves, he never quite looked like his old explosive self in the early weeks. He was laboring, he was getting beat off the edge, and the anchor issues that have always plagued his game were suddenly magnified tenfold because he just did not have that lower body strength to firmly hold his ground against elite pass rushers. It all culminated in that disastrous Raiders game where he essentially got benched on the spot. Then, just to add insult to injury, he gets hurt in practice and misses virtually the entire remainder of the regular season. Sure, he finally got healthy just in time for the playoffs, but there was absolutely no way the coaching staff was going to throw him into the fire in those high-stakes moments after months on the sideline. It felt like the writing was permanently on the wall. It truly felt like the Braxton Jones era in Chicago was quietly coming to a highly disappointing end. But in the NFL, circumstances change in the blink of an eye. The entire trajectory of our offensive line shifted the very moment Ozzy Trapilo suffered that devastating, major injury. When we got the heartbreaking news that Trapilo is going to miss this entire season, a massive, glaring void suddenly opened up at left tackle. Panic started to set in across the fanbase. Who was going to protect Caleb Williams' blindside? Were we going to have to trade away precious draft capital just to survive? The front office had to pivot, and they had to pivot fast. They looked at the free agent market, they evaluated the internal options, and they quickly realized that a reunion with Braxton Jones was suddenly the most logical, safest insurance policy they could possibly buy. Let us look at the pure facts. When Braxton is fully healthy, this is a guy who has started 44 career games in the National Football League against elite competition. I have always sat here and called him a serviceable to solid left tackle. He is not a Hall of Famer, but he knows the offensive system inside and out, he knows the locker room culture, and he provides immediate stability. If the front office is bringing him back, you have to firmly believe the medical staff feels extremely confident about where he is at health-wise. They are comfortable knowing that even if he does not win the outright starting job in training camp, he can absolutely hold his own if called upon. Now, let us talk about the absolute masterclass of a contract the front office just negotiated, because this is where the genius of the move really shines. Braxton signed a one-year deal, but the financial structure is brilliant. The base salary is only $5 million. That is incredibly reasonable for a veteran tackle. However, the deal includes performance escalators and snap count incentives that allow him to earn up to $10 million if he balls out. So essentially, his base cap hit is going to hover around $4.5 million, which is standard, everyday swing tackle money. It is a brilliant, low-risk, wildly high-reward move. This is the very definition of a win-win scenario for both sides. What is the absolute worst-case scenario for the Chicago Bears? You are paying $5 million for a highly experienced, quality swing tackle who can step in at a moment's notice and keep the offense humming. What is the best-case scenario? Braxton comes into camp fully healthy, reclaims his starting job with a vengeance, plays out of his mind, hits his snap counts, earns his $10 million, and keeps Caleb Williams perfectly upright all year long. And for Braxton, he gets a golden redemption year. He is only going to be 27 years old soon. If he dominates, he hits the open market next year from a position of absolute maximum strength, rather than limping into free agency after a miserable, injury-riddled season. This move also speaks absolute volumes about our plans for the rest of free agency. Does this eliminate the Taylor Decker conversation? I am fully convinced it absolutely does. I think this completely takes Chicago out of the wild sweepstakes for those massive, big-ticket veteran tackles. It is definitely not going to be Trent Williams arriving to save the day. Instead, the front office is setting up a phenomenal, gritty training camp battle. It is going to be Braxton Jones going head-to-head against Theo Benedict. Benedict showed some very real flashes of brute strength last year, but just like Braxton, he has his noted limitations. Having these two battle it out in the scorching summer heat pushes both of them to be significantly better. And hey, if the right elite prospect miraculously falls into our laps on draft night, maybe we add a hungry rookie to the mix as well. But for now, we have secured our ultimate insurance policy. So here is my official question of the day for you guys, and I want you to head down to the comments right now and let your voice be fiercely heard. If you had to bet your absolute life savings on who starts at left tackle week 1, are you typing BJ for Braxton Jones, TB for Theo Benedict, or are you typing someone else? Drop your answers below because I genuinely want to see where Bears Nation stands on this intense positional battle. But Braxton Jones was far from the only move we made, because today was an absolute frenzy of aggressive roster building. The front office was putting in serious, undeniable work across the board. There were no jaw-dropping, earth-shattering blockbuster trades. We did not land Trey Hendrickson, which I warned you guys was a massive pipe dream anyway, but we made extremely smart, calculated, rotational moves that build legitimate championship depth. Let us start with the interior of the offensive line. We officially signed veteran center Garrett Bradbury. Now look, I know Bradbury is not a flawless, all-pro, generational player. But when you look at how violently the center market exploded over the last 48 hours, and considering the massive hole we had to suddenly fill after Drew Dalman retired, this makes total and complete sense. We desperately needed a seasoned veteran presence to step up, and getting Bradbury on a one-year deal at a highly manageable price tag is a move I absolutely do not mind. It is a necessary, intelligent patch for the offensive line, giving us immediate veteran stability right in the crucial middle of the trenches. Flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, the urgency to add blazing speed and physical depth was extremely apparent. We brought back Marco Jackson, and I am genuinely thrilled about this underrated move. Jackson brings an incredibly high, relentless motor, and he genuinely has a legitimate chance to fight for serious starting reps at linebacker this season. His sideline-to-sideline pursuit speed is going to be a massive asset for this scheme. We also brought back Daniel Hardy to further solidify our aggressive rotational depth. But the linebacker move that had me literally jumping out of my chair was the re-signing of Devin Bush. We locked him down on a beautiful 3-year, $30 million contract with $21 million heavily guaranteed. Now, if you want to truly understand why this is a massive, absolute steal, you have to look at the rest of the league's spending spree. Today, we watched Quay Walker magically secure a massive $40 million payday. I will say it right now, loud and crystal clear. Devin Bush was a flat-out better, more impactful football player than Quay Walker was last year. Securing Bush for just $10 million a year is undoubtedly one of the greatest value signings of this entire free agency period. He brings elite, hair-on-fire instincts to the second level of our defense. We also addressed the defensive trenches by bringing in the heavy-hitting Neville Gallimore. This is a very savvy, physical rotational defensive tackle signing. Gallimore gives you that highly disruptive, interior pass rush ability that we desperately need to violently collapse the pocket on critical third downs. Keeping the defensive line fresh and energized is critical to winning late in the fourth quarter, and Gallimore is the absolutely perfect piece to rotate in and wreak total havoc on opposing guards. Then we look out to the secondary. The Bears handed physical cornerback Kobe Bryant a 3-year deal worth $40 million. Now, before anyone starts to panic about that massive price tag, you have to closely examine the brilliant structure of this contract. The front office heavily backloaded the deal. His cap hit for year 1 is going to be less than $6 million. It is essentially structured perfectly as a 2+1 deal, meaning the team has a built-in, completely safe escape hatch and can easily get out of the contract after 2 years without destroying the future salary cap. That is just smart, modern, forward-thinking general managing. Finally, let us talk about the quarterback room, because this final move caught a few people totally off guard. We signed Case Keenum to a 2-year, $5.5 million deal. The exact moment this news broke across social media, the rumor mill started violently churning. Does giving Keenum a multi-year deal mean the front office is secretly plotting behind closed doors to trade Tyson Bagent? It is an incredibly fascinating scenario to deeply ponder. Bagent has flashed undeniable starting potential, and another quarterback-needy team might be extremely willing to give up valuable draft capital for him right now. I am honestly not entirely sure what the grand endgame is there, but regardless of how it ultimately shakes out, I am ecstatic that Keenum is back in the fold. Whether he is the primary backup or functioning as the veteran third stringer on the headset, his presence in that meeting room is absolutely invaluable. We all know the profoundly positive, stabilizing impact he had last year mentoring Caleb Williams and helping Tyson Bagent rapidly develop his mental game. You simply cannot put a price on that kind of veteran, been there done that leadership for a young franchise quarterback trying to take the next leap. When you take a breath, step back, and look at the vast totality of day one, it is abundantly clear what the front office is doing. They are flat out refusing to panic. They are heavily insulating the roster with smart, scheme-fitting veterans, building intense, iron sharpens iron competition at key spots like left tackle, and fiercely protecting our salary cap future. We still have plenty of hard work to do, and the upcoming draft is going to be incredibly exciting, but the foundation of a real contender is being solidified right in front of our very eyes.